Ladies and gentlemen, we are just 1 day removed, or remaining, or I should say 1 day away. See, I'm all out of sorts. I'm so excited from the 2025 NFL Draft, and it looks like we know where we're going, which we knew all along. But we're going to get into all those details and much more on this week's episode. So let's not waste a second. Shane, start us up.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Talking Titans.
Do the Titans have a miracle left in them in what has been a magical season to this point? Going to be fielded by Lorenzo Neal at the 25. Pitches it back to Wycheck. He throws it across the field to Dyson.
He's got something.
30,
He's
40,
got something.
50.
He's got it.
40.
He's got it.
20. 10.
He's got it.
End zone. Touchdown Titans. There are no flags on the field. It's a miracle. Tennessee has pulled a miracle.
The sickest Tennessee Titans podcast. Sick! It's going to be sick.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Sick Podcast Talking Titans. Joined always by my counterpart, Jarett. Jarett, another beautiful sunny day in the great state of New Jersey. We're 1 day away from the draft. How are you feeling, boss?
I'm feeling good. I mean, we missed last week for scheduling purposes. A lot of news that's been circulating around our team, a lot of rumors as well, and it looks like we know who we are picking after yesterday's press conference with the brass. So I'm pretty excited. Hopefully Killer Cam will be the number one selection tomorrow.
Yeah, as I'm sure most of you probably know, unless you're living under a rock, the Tennessee Titans have pretty much made it, well, not pretty much, they have made it 100% public that they will not be trading that first overall pick tomorrow night. Obviously, I think it's safe to say that there are basically no more question marks as to where that pick's going to go. I don't know why they won't just come out and say it.
Well, they basically did, dude. I mean, when I forgot, it was Kaharski or one of them said, what's going on with Will Levis now? And then Mike would basically said, well, he's a quarterback in the quarterback room, and he's young, and he still needs development. Right then and there,
Yeah, I know. I just think that, it wouldn't hurt to give Cam that kind of.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they probably privately maybe have told him, and if that's the case, then none of what I'm saying matters. But if they haven't, I don't know why they got to beat around the bush here. They could just flat out say it, which I know they did, but they kind of didn't in that meeting yesterday. They still kind of alluded to, we're going to pick the best player, yippity, yip, yip. But obviously, I think they believe he is the best player. So maybe that's the angle they're going for. But nevertheless, we're 1 day away. What are you looking most forward to, immediately after, as far as when we finally get him and what's to come?
I mean, I just want to see him hold the jersey, one, obviously, him get that recognition, because like I said, even Kyle Brandon from NFL Good Morning Football, he said, Cam Ward is the least talked about number one pick possibly in NFL history. I mean, it's just because, it's the Titans. We're always overshadowed. We're not a big market team. Hopefully not yet, but we have a vibrant city, a brand new stadium, and it seems to be that Cam Ward's going to bring a lot of swagger to this organization. So hopefully he's going to put us on the map. What I'm excited for most, obviously, is to see Cam, how well-spoken he is after interviews, what he's going to bring to the table, for the franchise. And I want to see that first introductory press conference. Granted, if it is him, which, like I said, we are 99.9% positive it's him. But what they do after the pick, Sal, like we keep talking about, what do they do after the pick? With pick 35, they hosted 5 defensive linemen, on top 30 visits. They hosted 6 wide receivers as well, which is unheard of. Obviously, two position groups that are desperately needed for us, especially at the edge position. So I'm gonna be looking forward to seeing what they're gonna do in the second round.
Yeah, and I'm just to piggyback off of what you just said, and then we'll get into that as well. I've been just so incredibly impressed about Cam, the way he holds himself and the way he speaks during the interviews. You could tell that he was just raised really, really well. Oh, yeah. And that's important too. You want to have a guy that's just as good at his character as he is at his game. And there just isn't really a box this guy isn't checking at this point. Of course, none of this matters unless it translates on the field on Sundays. But From where we're standing now to where we are at this point, there just isn't a box this guy doesn't check. So from that aspect, it's also incredibly exciting in that regard. So, it just can't come soon enough, all the interviews and when he's going to have the gear on and when OTAs start. It's going to be really, really fun for all of us leading up to that first game. And I'm very excited for that experience. But moving on from that, just briefly, I know we definitely haven't been on since some of the moves this organization has made, especially one on the offensive line position. The Titans did release Nicholas Petit-Frere, which I think we all saw coming. I don't know if I saw it before the season started, but I did think at some point this year he would be let go because he just isn't high enough on this totem pole right now, which isn't a big one to begin with. But nevertheless, Jarett, what were your thoughts on their release of NPF?
Hallelujah. Trying to get some new fresh blood in this offensive line room. Obviously, he was becoming a liability, not staying on the field as healthy. Really struggled last year in the pass pro game. But like I said, if you're bringing free agents in, you're going to draft the offensive line. We're going to look at my final mock draft here in a couple minutes. I did pick 2 offensive linemen that that can develop now, because like I said, we want to build for the future. They keep talking about for the future, and they want 9 to 10 picks every year. We have a lot of capital this year in 8, and we have all of our picks in the top 190. So that's pretty damn good. I mean, we have holes all over the roster. I know we talked about the release of Nicholas Ferrer, but I'm transitioning into how we're going to build now that he's gone. Only 3 players of 23 players that were drafted since 2020 are still on this roster. That's a huge issue. And then going forward, they're talking about building onto the draft. I mean, just think about that, Sal. That's part of our problem. But that was right when Taylor Lewan errors and everyone started getting off the team. You had Kevin Byard, Derrick Henry left last year, but that nucleus that Derrick Henry kept talking about on Busting with the Boys, if they kept that nucleus together, they would have won a Super Bowl. That right there, if they built the right way in the draft, we wouldn't be where we're at right now. So 3 of 23 players since 2020.
And one of them is Treylon Burks. That's the worst part.
Abysmal.
Might as well be 2.
Abysmal. And as per the Athletic, they ranked the rosters in the NFL, and the Titans are ranked last. For
deservingly
for positional value. So to get rid of the dead weight like NPF now and starting to build in this draft, if they like anybody, or still in free agency, just like they did with Kevin Zeitler. I like what they're doing. Hopefully it transitions. I'm not going to be too optimistic like I was last year and the year prior to that. Man, this offensive line looks great. This is going to be the hounds for us. I was on the podcast pounding the table. It looked great. But until I see it on tape until they start gelling, then I'll make my judgment on that.
Well, obviously, like we already know, but it just solidifies how important the quarterback is based on statistics like that, because I'm sure 2 years ago, the Washington Commanders were probably on the very low end of that list as far as NFL rosters. And now I think probably within the next 3 years, they're going to make themselves one of the top 3 teams in the much harder conference of the 2. Well, actually, no, they're not right now, but I think they're going to be very soon. So it's so important to have a ringleader behind center, and hopefully we're going to get that. And again, NPF probably saw him leaving the team sometime during the season. They got rid of him before it started. We already knew they're probably going to be looking at maybe some offensive line in the draft too. That might make that even more of a need. Again, he wasn't anything to write home about, but he was a position player that was of need. So we'll see how that transpires. But moving forward, I think, again, we got to consider this receiver situation to be pretty dire, because although we were probably looking at one in the second round, still isn't enough. So I'm still curious as to what their plan of attack is. Drafting Cam Ward and having him rely solely on Calvin Ridley is kind of crazy. But
no, it definitely is. And Mike touched on it in his press conference yesterday, saying that they're looking at best player available and they're going to build the best roster possible for the future for this team, and surrounding the young quarterback with talent is definitely a priority. So in when you heard that, Sal, now, because I'm sitting here thinking we desperately need wide receiver, we desperately need edge. If an edge player like Pierce or any of these guys fall into the second round, you're sitting at 35 and they want best player available. The sexy pick, obviously, and everybody wants it. If if like Burton is there or any of these wide receivers that are out there. You'd want that to surround it. But you still have Amari Cooper in free agency still. You can build, later on, get Kyle Williams, possibly if you trade back into the third. We got a lot of draft capital. And you could probably still get another wide receiver late because it's deep, this class. So, I mean, I'm not going to be mad if they get a absolute need in the second round at 35. But if the wide receiver from Ohio stays there, Mbuka, if he's there, I don't see how they cannot draft that guy. All right, because there's rumors that he's going to fall, he's not going to fall. In my mock, my final mock, since we're talking about that, Shane, bring that up.
I mean, this would be ideal. It
would be perfect. And you have the people online saying, how the hell are you acquiring these picks and how are you doing that? I mean, guys, it's a mock draft, and it's on the computer. I did what was brought up to me. So I moved back 2 spots with the Raiders to 37. He's there. I'm taking him. And then obviously I got 68 and I got 143 and I picked up a third and a fifth in next year's draft. So, I mean, you don't see that. So people are just seeing, you picked up 2 picks. Yeah. But Jack Sawyer's a need. Obviously Mbuka is a need. And then, like I said, we brought in Cam Scatterbull. Right? Yeah. Everybody knows who he is out of Arizona State. I mean, the guy rushed for 1,700 yards and 21 touchdowns last year. He's an absolute bowling ball. And you heard Brian Callahan and these guys saying, you need 3 backs in the NFL and change of pace. And, we're going to look at, positions, that we want to, have competitions with. So, I mean, that's what I basically went off of on this mock draft here.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought I hit it out of the park. I'm not gonna.
You did. Like I said, that's why I said originally this would be ideal. I mean, you couldn't give me enough dotted lines to sign to get this list right here. Now, do I think that Igbuka, Sawyer, Scatterbull, do I think they're going to be there at these 3? I think maybe Igbuka will be. I don't think Sawyer is going to be at 68 now. If he is, man, I like him a lot. Scatterbull and Sawyer, you want to talk about
high motor guys and personality? Yep.
Yeah, I mean they're gonna boost that off the chart.
Locker room guys.
100%. I'm all in. We just got to see how things shape up. I mean, Restrepo at 120. I'd love that. Is it possible? We're gonna have to find out.
Could be. I mean, slow 40. You see what happens.
Could be. I mean, the one thing nobody really understands about this, and they're so quick to judge these mock drafts. Teams have their eyes set on players at a certain point. They maybe have 1, 2, 3 guys that they fully expect to be there. There's times when they're not there, and they have to reevaluate everything. And that changes everyone's board based on what they do. Because, these organizations have people in place that are going to try to map out every team's decision. And then they're going to be asked to do the same thing when things go awry. And things are going to go awry on tomorrow night. All right. I think it's safe to say that's going to happen. So, and Friday for that matter. Yep. So anything's possible. I think it's safe to say Tennessee's picks will be moved around at some point outside of the first. So we'll see how that, changes things up. But this right here, I mean, this would be a home run. This would be a grand slam. So,
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you're looking at it and I'm going from 141 to 213 here, Quincy Riley almost seems to be like a lock. I mean, I did a lot of homework on him. The kid's gritty. And then you're going to pair him up again with Jarvis Brownlee Jr., former college teammates. Love that. But the thing that's intriguing here, I go interior line, offensive line, 2 mammoth human beings, 6'6" is Logan, and Seth is, played on the Ohio State line. He got hurt last year, but great rotational piece and possibly a future lineman for us. But the thing here now, if you listen to I did this mock draft Sunday, I think I did, right? And their press conference was yesterday. So I knew that we need a tight end. They really didn't do, they only brought 1 tight end here and was Terrence Ferguson in for a visit. But Jackson Hughes, right at the bottom from Georgia Tech. I was looking him up, and stats-wise, he doesn't blow anybody off the charts, but he is a dynamic blocker, gets open in the field. We've missed that dynamic blocking tight end and a guy that can get open. So if you pair him up with Chig and open up Chig a little bit, and this guy can be your Swiss Army knife a little bit, you throw on his tape a little bit, he's a baller and a mauler at 6'5", this kid. So, I mean, it's late. It's a risk pick. But I think everyone keeps an eye out on for that kid.
I don't think there's any risk picks at 188. So if that happens, I'll be content with it. I'll be ready to ride with it. Although you're not wrong, Jared, because this team is so freaking terrible and there's so much lack of depth. Then, yeah, you know what? 188, it could be. It could be because they got to hit on about 80% of these picks.
Yep.
If they really want to take a big jump, not a tiptoe to the front of the line or closer to the line, if they want to take a giant jump, they got to hit on a lot of these because they're going to be drafting for positions of need, pretty much day one positions of need.
Listen, the first 6 picks, if this is our draft, the first 6 picks right there are immediate starters. I'm not saying stars besides possibly Cam Ward. They're starters in the NFL.
Well, Buka should be a star.
Yep.
Should be a star. Should be a day one star. But that, we'll see. They got to get whoever the guy is going to be, whether it's him or the Luther Burden. They're hopefully going to be stars day one. But obviously I'm not trying to contradict you. I know what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
They're all going to start if those guys get to our team, obviously. And I think Scatterboo would get a lot more touches as a rookie than most people would probably think, even with Pollard and Spears still on the roster. So that's one for me that I'm very, very invested in. I would absolutely love him. I don't watch college football, but you bet your ass I watched his last game. And it was just by mere coincidence. I wasn't even intending to watch it. It popped up on TV. I kept it on, and I saw this kid
put on a show.
He's just out of this world. His level of competitiveness is you can't put a price tag on it. Now, I know from what I've heard from my dad and others, he's not incredibly fast, which is something as a running back typically you need, but everything else in the repertoire seems to be pretty high level. So
it's about going north and south and picking up 4 or 5 yards every goddamn play. Every single time you run the ball. And this kid is a bowling ball. So
as soon as there's contact, this kid's head is as down as it can be, and he's looking to run you over and stay on his feet. And that would be great on a nice short 4th and 1, 3rd and 1. You can't put a price tag on it. So I'm gonna have my eye on that. Hopefully that would be Friday if we can grab him. And I love this list, man. This list would make me skip around town for the whole summer. So
me too. So that's why hopefully this at least half of this list happens. Hopefully.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I knew it would be here quicker than we thought, and it's here. And it's wild that this is going to be the draft that we're going to be waiting for the start of it, and then it's just going to be, and then once it's going to come and go like nothing. And it's going to be special. It's going to be real special. I'm glad he's going to be there.
Yep.
I'm glad he's going to hold up the jersey with Goodell. Hopefully it's the start of a really awesome story that should definitely have a documentary or two if it ends with a championship, because boy, we've paid our dues, man. 30 plus years we paid our dues, and it's time. So I think that's it.
Before we get out of here, I've been waiting to do this since, scheduling purposes wise, didn't work out last week, but I want to bring something new to the podcast, and hopefully after what you see, what I'm about to do next week, you do the same thing to me or Vin. So a little game of who's the former Titan, right? Little who's the former Titan. Shane, throw up 2 picks over here. Can you name this Titan?
I don't remember his first name, but I'm going to throw out – this is a shot in the dark. Calico?
Nope.
Was this Tyrone Calico? Is that his name?
It's Tyrone Calico, but that.
All right, give me his initials, Jarett. Give me his initials.
LH.
Lavelle Hawkins.
Lavelle Hawkins. That is right. He is a 2008 4th-round draft pick. He had 71 receptions in 5 seasons, 771 yards, and 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
So
good times.
That time stumped you, but you came back. You came back with the initials. So hopefully next week you could do the same thing to one of us, just to spice things up a little bit on the podcast.
I like this. I like this a lot.
Yeah. So
Lavelle Hawkins, probably the only guy from that freaking decade that I wouldn't remember. So that was good.
I want to throw a little curveball in there. I don't want to give a lollipop. So
yeah, no. If it were probably anyone else on that roster immediately I would know. So that was good. But Lavelle Hawkins is definitely a name drop. remember shouting his name a few times, but not nearly enough.
I just remember his high-pitched interviews in the locker room.
Yeah, Yeah, he did have a little bit of a high pitch, but all right, guys, we're so ready. It's not even funny.
Give us Cam, man. Give us Cam.
Yep, Jarrett's getting a brand new draft war room being built above his house for the night tomorrow. So that's what you're hearing. But guys, I hope everyone's as excited as we are. We're likely going to be going on just for a little bit after the pick's done to discuss, what we hopefully already know and a little bit more, and probably some initial stuff on the interview that we see from him. So make sure to tune in. We'll probably be live, I would assume, Jarett, or no? We're going to film that.
We'll go live after the pick. I'm pretty sure. It's going to talk to everybody behind the scenes, but I'm pretty sure we're going to go live after the pick.
Okay, cool. So make sure to keep on the lookout for our socials on that information. And, let's lock in. Let's have some fun. And we're going to have a lot to talk about over these next couple months. So anything you want to throw in, Jarett, before we get moving?
That's it. Give us Killer Cam tomorrow holding the jersey. That's all
I want. That's it. That's what we want. And we're all going to be posting that picture a couple times, I think. So hope everyone has a great rest of their day. Hope we all see you tomorrow. And hopefully this is the last day the Tennessee Titans do not have a franchise quarterback. God bless. Tighten up. Shane, send us out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Talking Titans on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.